Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to our Working Together series live from the NETIV Zoom room in Houston, Texas. Rabbi Ingber just joined the class, so I think we'll just turn it over to the rabbi. Hopefully, the rabbi's we got some good questions for the rabbi. I really, really, really enjoy the format that he's chosen to address questions and mix it all up into the message. Very, very interesting approach for sure. Last week's was very exciting, and hopefully we've got some good questions for him today. I think we're still waiting for a few people to come in the chat room. If anybody out there has a question they want to have included, drop it right now in the chat box on YouTube, Facebook, and I'll try and get it into the rabbi. Rabbi, I tried to get, I even added that to the post when I advertised it that they should have their question prepared. So hopefully we get some input.
Great. Okay, good. So those who are here with us now, we'll let them start out. And those who are on YouTube or Facebook there could send it into Rod, whoever is with us. Let's just get this ball rolling here. What do we got?
Yes, you earlier had addressed the issue of Israel and the conundrum they're in with, the way the nations are looking at them right now. What is the general tempo of the Jewish people in Israel and how they feel that the war is going right now?
Okay, I will try to answer that. Honestly, I haven't been here so long now. I've been here a week, so it's a little bit hard.
It's kind of hard to get.
I'll tell you what I think so far. All right, let's get a few more, and I'm going to tie them together. So we got one, the situation in Israel in terms of the war. What else we got? Let's get 5 questions on any topic. Let's see if we can roll them together.
Also, if you could throw one in on the status of what they're talking about. We heard a bunch about hoopla about the red heifer and the potential process of producing the red heifer and actually getting the ashes. Where's that at, or is that just a bunch of hype? So that's something else I'd like to know.
Good. Red heifer. Got it. Good. What else we got? So anyone else got a question? If not, I will just start to speak and answer what I have and build from there. We want to hear what you want to hear. That is the crucial rule. It is a very, very deep spiritual rule. It is a mistake in the minds of people. They say it was a statement that the Rabbi of Bunim, one of the great Hasidic masters, he asked the question to his students, where can God be found? He asked the question, where can Hashem be found? And after they were thinking and wondering and pondering and trying to answer, he said, wherever you will let him in. That is the answer. And people make a mistake. So therefore we think what? We think that if we go and we ask them, Hashem responds. It's not the way it is, actually. Once we already make ourselves a vessel, everything Hashem has given us already there. He's ready to give it to us. He's always giving. It just we don't have the, it's like a person's, if I'm putting money in your hand, you don't have a hand to get it. You don't have a wallet to accept it. You don't get it. You don't realize it. So the deeper meaning is, I got Cheyenne's here. Great. So Cheyenne, you hear this thing I just said from Rav Bunim. When I say it again, so Shayam could hear what Rabbi said. Rabbi said, he asked the students, where can Hashem be found? And then he answered, wherever you let him in. And the answer is that it's a very, very deep concept. It means that wherever you make yourself open, then you will get it. It's not that you make yourself open and then God gives it to you. He's giving it to you. You just got open to get it. So to say it's a principle. The principle means it always starts from the side of the receiver. This is a very deep point to talk about male-female relationships also, which is not the topic for today, but that is also the root of why it does start from the side of the female in a certain sense. But that's another discussion. All right, so any other questions we got? I'm going to tie it together. Naomi.
I had a quick question. So in social media, I've seen a lot of people that I know that are Jewish that have made a similar post, not like recently necessarily, just kind of like sporadically, where people will say something like, oh, just so you know, all of my, non-Jewish friends, I noticed that you never post anything about what's happening with Israel, and we know where you stand, and da da da. And I personally have never posted anything political ever on my social media pages ever.
That's why you're very smart.
But I wanted to know what your opinion was about that, because like sometimes I wonder, because I do have some friends that they post something, it's not like super hardcore and controversial, I mean, from my view, and I think, oh, that's nice that they said that, that's nice. But then I was thinking, should I do that? Like, should I ever express how I feel or not? Because I lean towards no, and I never have, but I just wanted to know what your opinion was on that.
Okay. All right, good. That's a variation. That's a different question. Should we be posting on social media our political opinions? Okay, I'll try to do that too. All right. And then I think I'm going to add something else to talk about, which I'll tie into this also. And it's something very important that came out that happened this week politically. And people need to check. You want early detection, early treatment. If you or someone you love is suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, you must try to recognize the symptoms and the causes and how to treat this very, very sad illness, which makes people do very, very crazy things. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit also, because it does tie in a little bit to this whole thing, and it's a very, very important point. So I want to start with what Rod asked about the situation in Israel, how people think about it, and I really want to say something here. We have to understand there is a Christian dictum, a Christian belief called "turn the other cheek," and it's a very fascinating thing that I don't know, because I'm not a Christian scholar. I haven't spent a lot of time learning the rationales to the belief system, but it's quite obvious that idea is not really a idea they expect anyone to be able to do. Maybe it's supposed to be like some kind of higher level of, I don't know what. But nobody does that. No, there's nobody who goes to a war and they start attacking, and then you say, well, turn the other cheek. It's not practical. We don't do that. The only people who are expected to act in this way seem to be the Jewish people. And this is really the problem with what's happening in the war that I think people are sensing here also, is that, Israel is really doing flips and turns to fit into the world's so-called laws of war. Esav, who is the fighter, the killer of the Western world, who kind of likes war. I mean, there's a lot of people getting rich from the wars here that's going on. The whole military-industrial complex gains from war. I mean, if you follow the money, there's a good reason there from why they fight wars. Because, it's like they say, oh, well, we're not giving the money really to Ukraine. We're giving it to ourselves. We're giving it to the industrial military complex. Okay, and they have lobbyists, so these people doing that. So people are doing a lot of things. They have this appetite for war. And what happens is the people who have that like to make these rules. And the heart of the rule is that we don't really believe this idea of turning the other cheek, but for the Jews, they have to. And I think there's a sense here in Israel. I know I have this sense that you, Netanyahu, and everyone else that in the government, how it's working, are going to such lengths to protect the civilians that has never been done. Yeah, I know what the headlines say, and what Al Jazeera says. I know the fake numbers that the Hamas say what happened. But if you listen to military strategists who are honest, No one's ever done this. No one ever has gone like into a combat zone, a city, and gone door to door and try to find every single person to not to hurt somebody who they haven't determined as an actual terrorist, though they support and they voted for terrorists and they were happy to kill Jews as they say. But what happens is they're going around and trying to dodge between the urban environment to make sure that they are fulfilling the rules of war that are being espoused by the people who never keep these rules. And there's a point where you get fed up. And, and that would be the message really, I think that a lot of Israelis will have for Netanyahu and other people. Is like, no, go with the Torah rule here. Go with the Torah rule. This right now, this is a war. These people have said they want to kill us, and therefore it is a full-out war. What are you doing? It's the most bizarre thing I ever saw in my life. You go into one place, say, everyone leave, because we're going to fight here. So but terrorists, please stay so we can fight you. If you're not a terrorist, then you should leave. But if you're a terrorist, then you should stay. What is this? Whoever went into a war and he's like telling everyone what to do. Okay, and now we move to Rafah. Hey, we're coming to Rafah now, and if we're gonna get to Rafah, and now we're gonna fight Rafah. So basically, you should leave Rafah. What do you mean? You don't think the terrorists are leaving too? It's the most bizarre thing. Okay, so you could blow up the tunnels. It's a very, very big question. What happened just the other day? They found, 80 tunnels that were massive tunnels from Egypt to Rafah. Ladies and gentlemen, that should set off an alarm bell. Wait a minute. Why was the United States government saying consistently, don't go into Rafah? Just don't go into Rafah. Just don't end them all. What? It's like, you're getting closer. Don't look there. Don't look. Egypt didn't know about the 80 tunnels that were going in. They didn't know. Did America know? It's unbelievable. How are you? The whole world think don't go to Rafah when Rafah was the lifeline. I heard different reports: 50 tunnels, 6 tunnels, 80 tunnels, massive tunnels, and with full of ammunition. That's where it's coming from. And the governments of the world, including America, saying don't go into Rafah. Wow, that does not smell good. So what's happening in Israel here is that people. The biggest change, as I said last week, is that the Israeli left has, for a large degree, has really seen this is a sham. I think that that it's terrible. It's terrible that they're going door to door and Israeli soldiers getting killed because they're actually going by these rules of law of war that are set up, and they don't mean them. Whatever they mean, no one. Turn another cheek is not something that they expect from anyone else, except they want the Jews to do that. Any country would go and if they were attacked. Just think about it. It's insane. If America launched hundreds of missiles over years from Mexico, how long would America take till we flatten Mexico? A day? Not even. So, how do people feel? I think people are, Baruch Hashem, seeing this religiously, largely. Everyone, but like people I see, because it's not a political thing. The political thing is a disaster, both in the sense of how the army itself is trying to. I understand they have political considerations, but it's like, you want to get America's support, like this guy's support, but you know what? We didn't have anyone's support for thousands of years, other than Hashem. We don't need anyone else's support. I'm not telling you not to make whatever effort you make, But when your friends are telling you not to go into the place that it has the lifeline for the terrorists, and they're telling you not to do it, so so Netanyahu is basically going forward, and so I think that's good in people's eyes that he's going forward. He should do it faster though, but he's really trying to minimize to the degree where he's opened himself up to a lot of criticism. So that's the feeling. The feeling in Israel, I think, is largely turning into is largely a religious feeling in the sense that even the left-wing Israelis realize that we cannot make peace with these people. I mean, like, take them at their word. When they write in their charter, we want to kill you. That's what they write in their charter. Like, that's what it says, to destroy Israel. Like, I don't understand what you don't get. The funny part is that America doesn't get it when they say, when the people are rioting in the even in America, in these campuses, they're already saying death to America, they were saying. So I don't know why America doesn't understand that that's what Iran's been saying, the little Israel is the little Satan, America's the big Satan. That's clear, Israel happens to be in their backyard, so that's what they want to focus on now. But anyway, so I think people are viewing this in a certain sense as in a religious context of understanding that the government is not going to be the solution, and the government is sort of doing it. They're fighting the war. Hopefully, they'll win this war, but it's at a cost that is very, very unnecessary and just costing more lives on both sides. The fact that they're going so roundabout, I think that's what's happening. I think that now I'll tie this into what Rod asked about the ashes of the red heifer, because again, religiously, it's very, very, very significant, very significant. The ashes of the red heifer. So what that does is that when that happens, when we find the seventh of the red heifers, because there's the first one that Moshe had, and there were certain ones that were done throughout history, but the last one that will be found will be the one before Mashiach comes. And when that happens, so that will allow a purification process in the land of Israel that will be a game changer. It'll spiritually allow people to understand things that cannot be understood before. When you try to, there's a whole story about the ash of the red heifer in terms of the great Kabbalist, the Arizal, different, because the ash of the red heifer was already hidden, but how he, I forget exactly the story, but he I forget what he did, but he helped his student Rav Chaim Vital open up his ability to understand the wisdom of the Torah, because what happens is that when there is the impurity of death that exists in the world, you have like a block. Like I what I'm going to tell you now, this I have not seen any place, but I it would make perfect sense to me. That people say you use like 5% of your brain, 4% of your brain, different numbers people throw out. I believe with the ashes of the red heifer, that would change that dramatically. Because from all of the context we talk about, when a person has a block, has certain various filters and impurity on them, they can't understand something. When they become spiritually pure, which is the same thing when people used to go into the temple. When they went into the holy temple, it said they came out, the simple base of Shoeva, I don't know how to translate in English, but the festival in the temple during Sukkot was called the rejoicing of the drawing of the water. They drew the water up, which they put on the altar, but it's also called the Simlas Beis Shoeva because they would draw out divine inspiration. Person would get prophecy, would walk into the temple and have clarity. So the process of purification, first in terms of the awareness of the world, will be a massive change. Now, I can't explain to you how that works. I can't, because it's one of the things that the Talmud says the nations of the world will try to scorn the Jews and say, I don't understand. What is this thing with the red heifer? How's this work? Okay, you don't understand it. Great. All right. So a lot of things you don't understand. So that brain works. We don't understand a million things. But we like to think we understand everything. So, but the ash of the red heifer is a special process that God gave us to remove the impurity of death, which would allow us to do the service in the temple. So the first thing is it will already change the ability of awareness and understanding. The second thing it would do is it would allow us to enter into the temple area. Now that's why, ladies and gentlemen, and those of my friends out in Houston, Texas, so there was a guy named Vendell Jones. Everyone in Houston, Texas knows Vendell Jones had a movie made about him. And in the movie, his character was called Indiana Jones. And it's a true story because my brother went on digs with this guy named Vendell Jones, who was a Noahide. His children, numerous of them are converted and live in Israel. Vendell Jones was a Noahide, and he was an archaeologist. And the character of that Harrison Ford played in the old Indiana Jones movies was based on Vendell Jones. My brother heard him say that once. He was bald, and he said, Harrison Ford and I, look much alike, except I part my hair in the middle. That was what he used to say. So Vendell Jones. I remember I was teaching in a yeshiva at the time. I had a friend who was a light. He was a light man. He said bring lights. He was a lighting person, and he once walked into the basement, into the house we were learning, with a bag of 2,000-year-old incense offering they had found on a dig. Is that crazy? Because if you look in the temple, there was the incense offering had 11 spices. They had sent this off to NASA, and they found that it was the 11 spices exactly of the incense offering, and it was dated thousands of years old. He walked in, he found this with Vendell Jones, a bag of incense offering. Now, this is very fascinating. I don't know. This is now hearsay. But apparently in one of the movies they had something. He found a copper a map or something. Apparently there was some truth to this. I don't know which part in the movie, but Vendell Jones had claimed he had found a map. After he had found the instance of it, he found a map where he claimed he knew where the ashes of the red heifer exist, because the ashes of the red heifer, every time they found a new red heifer, which was not many. I believe the seventh one is we're talking about the next one. So, but they always left over from the first red heifer that Moshe had, and they always added to that. So there was always some left. There was always some ashes of the red heifer that were left, and they always used to keep some, which they added to the new batch they had when it would get low. So he claimed that from the map, he knew where the ashes of the red heifer were. He asked the Israel Antiquities Society to dig there, and apparently he was denied. Now, why did they deny him? I don't know. I can answer a few answers. One is it's a bureaucracy. We don't want you digging there. Whatever. Okay, maybe. One possibility. Second possibility is that it could be they knew it may be true. And what was that? And that might have been a political consideration. Is that we're going to have a very big issue on our hands. What is the issue on our hands? That people in the world believe the holy place for the Jews is the Western Wall. That is not correct. The Western Wall is the wall around the mountain on which the temple stood. The holy spot is on the Temple Mount. The wall, the Western Wall, is a remaining wall that was just it's gigantic. It's amazing when you go look at it. If you go inside and you see how big that is, it's twice as much a wall that you don't see. You can see they dug down. It's gigantic. But that wasn't the temple. That was the wall around the mountain on which the temple stood. Now, there could be some significance to this, the Western Wall, as far as it being a remnant. But we have a tradition that says that there is a Western Wall that will be remaining after the destruction of the temple, because it was built by the poor people who had to carry the rocks themselves. Now, is it that wall, or is some area? I have not gone up to the Temple Mount myself, and I'll explain to you why I haven't in a minute. But there are people who go on the Temple Mount, and there's some remnant of some wall that's on the western side that would be aligned with the wall of the temple. And some people claim that the teaching that there is going to be a remnant of the western wall. It's not talking about the wall outside the mountain, but rather a remnant of the western wall of the temple. There is something there. I have not been there myself. And why have I not been there myself? Why have I not been to the Temple Mount? Because we can't go there. We shouldn't go there. No one should go there. Because why? Because it is only for a person who is pure. And without the ashes of the red heifer, you can't go up there. As a matter of fact, the person that goes up there and is not ritually pure, then they get a spiritual punishment called kares, exorcism. They're cut off spiritually for eternity. Very, very serious thing. So that's why Jews don't go up there. Now, there are some Jews that do go up there today, and they have rabbis who claim, and I'm not saying I claim like I don't believe it's true. It's just they say they know where you can and where you can't go. So the people that go up to the Temple Mount, the Jews that go up, they go to a ritual bath first, a mikveh, then they go up, and even though they're not pure from the impurity of the dead, which would only be removed by the ashes of the heifer, they say they know where to go because it's written in the different books. We have the measurements of the temple where it was. The Dome of the Rock is simply put is in the right spot. The Dome of the Rock was not built as a mosque, just for edification. I forgot who built it. It was built by a sultan who built it in honor of the Temple of Solomon. Ooh. That's a new one. Yeah, it happens to be true. It was not built as a mosque. Mosque was the silver one that was built afterwards, but the Dome of the Rock was built as a tribute to the Temple of Solomon because this newfangled ideas that never happened. As I said before, last week, in the Quran, it mentions Medina 700 times, Mecca 700 times, Medina 350 times. It never mentioned Jerusalem once. Jerusalem was not the holy spot for the Arabs. If you ask many Arab scholars today, they will say that's true. Now they have some version that Muhammad, before he went up, he went to there. Okay, but many Arab scholars don't even agree with that in their own text because there's no mention of Jerusalem. So that spot, now the Dome of the Rock was built over this rock. Now, what is this rock? There is a rock there, a giant rock. That rock was the place where the ark sat. The ark sat on the rock. That rock is called the Even Shasiya. It's called the rock that was the foundational rock of the world. Whatever that means, and that was somehow a central place where the world sprouted out from. It's called the belly button of the world, the center of the world. It's a rock called the foundational rock. And in the time of the Second Temple, the ark was already hidden, right? The king Yoshia had already hidden the ark because he knew that the enemies were going to get in. He hid the ark under the Temple Mount because King Solomon had built a labyrinth under the temple, and there was a whole world there, and he hid the ark so that when the temple would be destroyed in times of the first temple, they couldn't get to the ark. So the ark was hidden there. Okay, so Raiders of the Lost Ark. I kind of just ruined the punchline. Kind of something. And now you know where it is, but you don't because you're not going to find it. Hashem doesn't want you to find it. You can hire Harrison Ford all you want. You can make a movie. You can make a sequel. You're not going to find the ark till Hashem wants us to find it. Anyway, so now, and there's a story in the Talmud. So until they found it and they wanted to go and they dropped dead. So this should not be tried out at home. So now but in the Second Temple, so the ark was already hidden. So it says the service that was done there was done because in the Holy of Holies nobody can go in, even if you're ritually pure, you can't go in. Only the Kohen Gadol, the high priest of Israel, could go into the Holy of Holies one time a year on Yom Kippur. And so, and there's a service that was done with the incense offering, and when the ark was not there he used to put it down on the rocks. We know that rock was there. We have massive discussions in the Talmud about it. So the Dome of the Rock was put on that spot. So, so the Temple Mount is the central spot. The Western Wall, if it has some traditional idea of an important wall, but by the poor people, it's very nice. But that is not that's the outer wall of the mountain where the temple stood. That's not it. So what would happen is that if the Jewish people had access to the ash of the red heifer, which Vendel Jones claims he knew where it was, or they find a new red heifer, which we have a few that are possibly without blemish so far. God willing that we will get a successful one. Once we have ash of the red heifer, then that will change the ability to understand Torah and understand science and understand the world and understand everything much, much more deeply. It'll bring a certain purity to the world and change the mindset, because people are stuck in their impurity. Let me explain this to you, because it sounds wild. What's impurity? It's not impurity. I just give you an example, because Nomi mentioned before, like Facebook. I know we're on Facebook now, but sometimes you watch a movie, and again, I don't know, everyone has their level, if you watch a movie and it's like, it feels gross sometimes. It's like, you hear people talking bad things, and it affects you. And as you get more spiritually sensitive, it bothers you. I remember the point where, like, I grew up in New York, like that. And I remember living in Israel, and I never heard a person curse. Like, I went into a gym one time, and I heard, I was like, get me out of here. So you develop sensitivity, but as you go into negativity, you get stuck in it more. And that's a little bit an analogy to what impurity is. When a person gets stuck, and they get stuck in it. So what happens is, if the ash of the red heifer were to be found, the original one that Moshe did, or a red heifer now would be found that did not have two black hairs, and we could make the ash of the red heifer, then there would be a purity on the people that would enlighten and inspire and awaken them. And it would create a political upheaval, because then we can go up to the Temple Mount. We couldn't go to the Holy of Holies, we could go to the Temple Mount. Right now, it's where can you go? How can you go? As up as you can go. Now, you have to understand this. This is one of the most bizarre political things, but the same thing in Gaza right now.
Have you ever?
I had a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question. I'm sorry, I couldn't do earlier, but we're supposed to be like, working to build up our spirituality, and there's some talk about the spheros and things like that. But like, I'm having a difficult time trying to, like, what am I actually supposed to do other than learning? Like, how do I actually build that? And the other one is how to understand the political system. I don't really understand the political system in the United States, and now I'm making Aliyah. I don't even know what's going on in Israel, and the voting, and it's just so foreign to me. Like, how to make sense, how to make sense of that, and how to actually be a positive participant in that than just going by what the masses are saying.
Oh, welcome in. Very good. Okay. All right. So that was what Rod asked about the red heifer. What does that mean? So I was saying to you before that I have three reasons why possibly the Antiquity Society did not want to let Vendel Jones find ash of the red heifer. One is just bureaucracy. Two is that they understood it was a political problem, because it was crazy. What happened was, in 1967, the Arabs again all gathered and said, we're going to wipe the Jews out from the river to the sea. Will be Juden-ridden, as the Germans said, will destroy every Jew. And then God made a miracle for us. And in 6 days, we the ragtag army of the Israelis at that point really didn't have much, was able to beat the entire massive armies of the Jordanians and the Egyptians, the Syrians, all that were attacking Israel in the 67 war. Now, when the 67 war happened, what happened was it was Jordanians, because there was no such thing as Palestinians. There never was, and there still isn't. They started running away. They started fleeing. They started going to Jordan. And Moshe Dayan really was the general that, no, come, we'll live together in peace, this and that. We had conquered the Temple Mount. It was ours. And for some strange, inexplicable reason, Moshe Dayan decided to give it to the Jordanians to be in charge of it. It's still inexplicable. Why this was totally conquered by the Jews. It was the holy site for the Jews. Why would this secular general give this over and give it to the Waqf who takes care of it now? It's bizarre. It's very, very bizarre. And this is the third reason why I think they didn't let Vendell Jones dig. Because, and this is to answer your question a little bit, Shay, because what happens is that the politics is an external expression of the internal. So bad people, or people have negative views, end up espousing things that create negative realities. So what happened was that the world was not ready for us yet to have the Temple Mount when we're pure. There is a point when God is going to make that we find the ashes of the red heifer, and we're going to go up to Temple Mount, build a base of Mikdash. How it'll happen, I don't know. Maybe the Iranians will try to drop a bomb and they'll hit the mosque. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I know that's the holy site. Not only that, the Medrash, very interesting Midrash. It says that it's very amazing Medrash. The Medrash says years ago, it is prophesied in the Medrash that says that in the future, the Arabs will put their holy place on a holy place on their holy place, on our holy place. And why? Because there's a relationship between God and the Jewish people that they want to get in on. They want to intercede. And that really is always the issue that we have. I call on my Arab brethren to unite and to embrace what Yishmael started to do, and realize that Yitzchak was the son of Abraham, and he had his role, and Yishmael then embraced his role and did not try to take the place of Isaac, which he tried to before. The Temple Mount belongs to the Jewish people, as some imams acknowledge that. Fine, you want to be in Mecca, be in Mecca. This is the place for the Jewish people. This is not where you belong. And to this day, there's a law that if you move your lips on the Temple Mount, you can get arrested. I have a son who got arrested for that. He said the Shema on the Temple Mount. He got arrested for that. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the most insane thing I ever heard. You control the country, and you give the power to them, and they have a rule that a Jew can't move. An Arab could go to the Western Wall and pray. We don't arrest them, say, hey, you're an Arab, you can't come. We don't do that. The temple is called a house for all people, right? It's based tefillah. It's a house tefillah l'chol ha'amim. It's called a house of prayer for all people. And we who control, we don't. So the answer is we're not, Hashem, the spiritual time will be worthy and we'll get it. And it's coming soon. It's coming soon. So that answers some of the questions we had earlier. The question about the red heifer, what is it? Very important. How people Israel relating, they're starting to wake up, starting to see, starting to understand. And the left wing is realizing this is our land, and we have to acknowledge that. Now, as far as what Naomi asked me before about posting things, so again, everyone could do what they want to do with this. I just don't like arguing with people that you can't argue with. It's like, I don't know, has anyone ever been convinced for anything that anyone's ever said on Facebook? It's literally a platform that just allows closed-mindedness. I had never seen it. So, like, I got no point in going and saying this and saying that when I'm just, people are just gonna. It's a waste of breath. Now, those who want to do it and those who feel that they need to, I'm not saying it's wrong, because someone's got to do something. I mean, I don't know what America is going to do right now with what's happened with Trump. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm not going to have time to go into my Trump derangement syndrome class, which I wanted to go through. But again, if you know someone that is demonstrating signs of this, they need to seek immediate medical help. It's really insane. It's really insane. And people have to unite about this because, I mean, what just happened in America? I mean, damn, we're turning into Canada here. That already is, Canada shut down the truckers and literally took their bank accounts and shut down people who donated to them. I mean, we're really dealing in a place in the world where America's never been. We've been this before. I mean, most places are like this, but to go and to accuse the guy of whatever a notation violation, and you've turned it to 34 felonies. It's a really very bad situation. So now Chaim Yaakov's asking me, and this is where we come back to bring this home. How do you go? Chaim Yaakov's asking, Jay's asking, says, how do you grow now during this time? And two parts of this question. One was, how do you understand politically how to function? I said to you before, the political thing is an external expression. You're not going to America. If the people of America get their act together, they'll get a president that could lead them in a positive way. The president is the leader is the sum total of the people. Okay, is the sum total of the people. And I said it before. I hate to say it because it's an embarrassment to the office. But Americans right now don't really have what's called das, have really no mind. They don't know if men are women, women are men. The most obvious things that were obvious to everyone 4 years ago. I'm not talking about 4,000. I'm talking about 4 years ago. Nobody said not to have borders. Nobody said it. Obama didn't say. No one said it. To say that men and women, no one said that. And now, if you don't believe that, then you are a terrible person. So what's happened is that the most fundamental aspect of understanding is gone. So the president, I hate to say it, if you have no mind, people who don't have a mind, they get a president who, unfortunately, his mind does not work well. So what happens is that you need to make your efforts, and everyone needs to make their efforts. Especially our Noachide friends here really, really need to go and to make serious efforts to make sure to stand and be counted here, because what they're doing is very, very bad, and people need to stand up and do what they have to do. But we have to also realize that the root of this is a spiritual issue. So where do we come out? Where do we come out? Make our efforts, true. But the root of this whole thing is if the people are espousing and believing insanities, then their representatives are those people by definition. Whether you're a democracy or not a democracy, tell you that you end up getting, because that becomes the leader of your people. That's why the truth is the whole Donald Trump thing is very amazing. I don't really have time to get into it now. I'm going to hold back. I'll do it next. I want to do next week the Trump syndrome here. But there really is a very, very deep part about understanding this, because he does represent an old America. What America was, he really does. People don't know this, but Obama, in one of his books, it was Obama. He gave Trump as an example of the American dream. So like, and the dream has got a lot of problems with it. Don't get me wrong, but he is representing something that was what America was when he says "Make America Great Again," because he does represent what the vision of America was, maybe a number of years ago. But how do you grow spiritually right now? That's a very hard question. It's an impossible question for me to answer on the spot here in a group form, because it's a very individual question. But the first thing to do is to to daven, to pray to Hashem, to open your heart. That's the first thing to do. Because if you daven to Hashem, you say, I want to grow, I want to become closer, I want to do the right thing, and you really, really open up and you ask that, you will all of a sudden start to see things that unfold in your life that allow you to take that right path. So the first thing is to daven, to pray for the ability to grow spiritually. Okay? Now, what Chaim Jay asked about during this period of time from Passover to Shavuot, called the Omer. So what happens is there is different systems to work on different traits. That's what those people count, the 7 different traits of the week, right? So let's say, for example, we're in the week of Netzach. So Netzach is a certain trait. I can't do this right now but you work on certain traits. That's one of the things to do. It's why also is a custom to learn the ethics of our fathers, Pirkei Avos, during the seven weeks. So a person needs to grow spiritually. How do you do it? Well, first thing I say is to pray for the enlightenment how to do it. Then is to think about what areas you need to work on more and start to go and to do. Okay? So adding to your learning time is great. To do actions. I will give you, Chaim Yaakov, I'll give you right now. You can Google this. This is maybe one of the greatest modern concise formula for spiritual growth. You can Google it. So Rabbi Avigdor Miller's 10 Steps to Greatness, I think he calls it. 10 simple things to do. Fascinating. But that's what the one. So I can't give you a specific one there. I can tell you that's very good what he does, because he really focuses on small, concentrated things there. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I'll give you 2 examples from his thing, and maybe everyone could do these 2 exercises this week. Okay, all right. So one exercise is to look at something every day and to appreciate it. I think he gives the example about clothing. He had a whole thing about buttons, how buttons you can close them, and now you could function. Take one thing every day that you could be thankful for, small thing, and focus on and appreciate it. Okay, that's one thing he said. Second example he has is every day take one person, look at this person, and just think for a minute they are made in the image of God. They have a divine aspect to them. And it's fascinating. Start looking at people, start seeing them differently. So he's got 10 different things there, small things. So I can't give the specific answer what people can grow, because it's very individual. It's Torah and mitzvot, learning Torah and doing mitzvot. That's the process. But what specifically individual needs, that we need an individual session with to know what we need to work on. Victor Miller's 10 Steps is a good thing that everyone could do, because it's very, very focused and it gives you a process. But talk to Hashem, ask him to guide you, and you'll all of a sudden find things that you could work on to build your Torah and mitzvahs. So in summation of our session today, what we have a world that is really a hypocritical world, that the people who commit horrors throughout the world, no one cares, no one thinks about, and they're telling the Jews that what you're doing is wrong. It's just, and people are seeing through it. And I hope that even in America, that people saw the sham trial. What a sham! What a really just. I mean, come on. You don't have to like Trump. I'll explain to you why people don't have to talk about it, but just it's an abomination. It's just a hypocrisy at the highest levels. So the world is going through this hypocrisy. We're going to get the ashes of the red heifer soon. And that will get away some of this nonsense. And like Naomi asked before, there's Facebook nonsense, there's impurity in the world. and you can't go into that place because it's very, very hard not to get affected by it. You hear people saying bad things, you develop bad things. You want to hang out with good people, right? You know, Chaim Yaakov, you come to Israel, you'll come here, you'll sit here in a holy place, you'll learn Torah. You're not going to be sitting around people who have insanities on their head, who are full of impurities. You can't. There's a time to try to help people to go into it a little bit, but you got to know if you could do it. It's a dangerous thing. Dangerous thing. That's why when I came to America. It was that was a dangerous thing. But living in the Holy Land, all with people, holy people, and you're walking into a hotbed of insanity. So surround yourself with better people. Okay? People on this chat, people on this call, people that are watching this are people that want to make the world a better place. And although I speak about some unfortunate, difficult things, but we want everyone to get it together. We want everyone to get it together. It's the plus of verse says Hashem does not he does not want the death of the dead ones, the bad people. He wants them to return and to live. Hashem wants everybody to get their act together. This is not a favoritism business. We want everyone to get it together. We want to pray for the whole world to have enlightenment, understand. And if they don't, full understanding, don't go into the swamps of lies. And that's where the world is. And so we pray and we daven that the clarity will come to people, as Rod asked before. When God wants us to find the answer to the heifer, we're going to find it. But you can't. I had a student. I think two people in this chat were at the meeting we had on Yom Ha'atzmaut at my house. I have a very holy student. And she said that, she can't feel good because she feels the pain of the situation. And I was thinking, but on Shabbos, for example, you're supposed to look at the world that became to completion. So what does that mean? Every Shabbos is supposed to look at, the world's complete. Because you have to remember something. There's a struggle, and then there's a clarity. And there's a new struggle. And there's a clarity, and a new struggle, and clarity. So struggle always precedes the point of clarity. And that means that in life, what we have to do is we have to understand that there is a struggle, but there's going to be a point of we're going to have awareness. But then there's going to be another struggle again. The ultimate redemption, it says there's two ways that it happens. One is we merit it, and it happens. And one, Hashem has the time where it's going to happen. And what we have to do is we have to do our job. Our job is to try to be amongst the ones who want good. Shalu Shalom Yerushalayim. Rod, we can have our concert back in Houston soon. It's one of the new songs on the album. Shalu Shalom Yerushalayim. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Amen. Everybody to go and look to be good to people, want truth in the world, and Ohavei Hashem Sinura, the ones who love Hashem hate evil. They don't say, it's okay, it's all right. No, it's not okay. But I want the bad people to become good. That's what I want. I want them all to unite. That's what we pray for. Every Rosh Hashanah Kippur, we say, Yatu Shechem Echad, the whole world will turn to Hashem and turn to God and serve Him honestly. And we got to remove a lot of the lies and the illusions that are blinding us right now, and they are just getting heavier and heavier. Just an upside down world where the villain is the righteous one, and the righteous one is the villain. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And thank Hashem that that's not your lot. If you understand what I'm saying. Say, God, thank you for not letting me become one of those people that are so upside down. And then you can pray for the people that are upside down to get themselves together. Will you win? I prove it to them on Facebook, Naomi? I doubt it. You feel you have to say something, you can. but it's a place that does not allow people to think. It's just a venting. It's a venting format. That's why I usually don't do it. Those who want, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's because some people like to fight, and it's a good, but it's not for me, because I don't want to waste my time talking to people that are not going to listen. Okay. All right, any other points before we sign off today?